The tragic medical case of Garnett Spears began as an infant when he had difficulty feeding and failure to thrive. He seemed to be a very sickly child and was seen at dozens of medical facilities with no obvious explanation being found. Sadly, eventually a feeding tube had to be placed through his stomach to allow his mom to feed him in order for him to gain weight. This ultimately prompted his mom to start a blog called Garnett's Journey, where she documented the difficulties of raising him as a child. Thankfully, it seemed that the feeding tube was successful and he was able to grow and become a normal, healthy kid. Despite the overall improvement, he would still have times where he would become severely sick, and doctors discovered that his sodium levels were astronomically high. They underwent extensive testing for this, but no obvious cause could be found, so they eventually would discharge him home, only to have him return shortly after with similar, very high sodium levels. Then, when he was 5 years old, he was admitted once again to the hospital, but this time, he would never leave. He was admitted for seizures from those very high sodium levels, which they corrected in the hospital and were getting ready to discharge him home. Just before discharge, though, his story would take a tragic turn when his sodium levels would spike once again, causing severe brain swelling and eventually his death. But doctors were baffled by this because they knew there was no physiologic way that his sodium levels could have changed that dramatically on their own. That's when they decided to review the security footage from the hospital. In that footage, his mom is seen taking him in the bathroom moments before his fatal incident. Looking closer, they found that she had taken a feeding tube and a lethal amount of salt with her into the bathroom. They then got a warrant to search her home, where they found piles of salt in each room with feeding tubes filled with salty fluids. Come to find out, his mom had been poisoning him, causing all of these problems. She did this because of a medical condition that she herself had. This mysterious case, as well as the rest of her story, is shared in my next video.